Hey gang, today we're going to take a Skynyrd style chord progression and I'm going to show you 3 different ways that you can approach it. I already showed you one by doing a mini solo lesson that we already did before, but today I'm going to show you 3 ways that you can approach the solo to make it more fun to play. And it should be something that frees you up rather than saying, oh my god, now I've got 3 different ways I can approach this. I've got to memorize all this stuff. No, you should think about the opposite way. Like, I've got one safe way and I've got 2 other ways that I can branch out and do some fun things with it. All right, we're going to explore all 3 coming up in just a second. Here we go. Okay, gang, we're going to go over these 3 methods, but first we're going to look at the chord progression itself, and that's going to give us some clues. All right, so let me play the progression. That's the progression. Let's take a look at the chords. A minor, C major, G major, D major. As we'll find out later, that is an interesting chord that we can use to add other flavors. Then we'll go to F major, G major, and A minor. Okay, so since we begin and end on A minor, a good bet is to try A minor pentatonic. And in fact, that's what we're going to start out with doing. I'm going to add one more note and then we get the A minor blue or the A blues scale, and I'll show you that, and then we're going to do a demo. So that just is A minor pentatonic. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a flatted 5th. Of course, you can play that anywhere you want to on the fretboard. Anywhere. All right, we'll do the demo using A blues right away. Here it is. All right, well, that was pretty cool. I love playing stuff using the A blues scale or A minor pentatonic. It's just bread and butter if you like classic rock. Lots of great classic rock sounds. But this progression lends itself to some other things that you can do fairly easily. And I'm going to show you why. And then we're going to do both of them. So very quickly, just a little bit of theory. If we look at the chords again, we've got A minor, we've got C major, okay, we've got G major, we've got D major. Remember, D major, not D minor. Just remember, hold that in your thoughts for just a second. Then we've got F, we've got G, and we've got A minor. Okay, so I know I said A minor, but I'm gonna, just for sake of easiness, I'm gonna say that we're playing in the key of C. Now, C major and A minor are related to each other. A minor is the relative minor of that. In fact, it's the 6th chord of the C major scale. In any event, if we look at the harmonized chords in the key of C major, we get the following. We get C major, D minor, notice I said D minor, E minor, F major, G major, major, B diminished, which we almost never use, and finally we're back to C major. So did you notice there was one chord that was in our progression? Our progression was A minor, C major, G major, D major, ding, 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 and then F, G, and A minor. All of the chords except for D are in the key of C major, equivalent key of A minor. So what we can do is we can have a little bit of fun playing around with that D chord. So here's the second method. We use an A minor pentatonic, except over that D chord, we play very deliberately over that D chord. So let me show you how that might happen. If we look at the A minor pentatonic, or A blues, doesn't matter, but let's just keep it simple, you'll notice that there's a note that's missing between the minor, D minor, and D major. Okay? If we look at it. So if we look at a D chord, if we look at a D major, it's played like this. Okay? Notice this note right here, that's called the third of the chord. It's the third of D major and F sharp. Now if I play a D minor, I have, and that's an F, not an F sharp. So it's this sound versus this. That's the only difference between a D major and a D minor, is that note. If we look at the minor pentatonic scale, we skip those notes, so we don't even play them, we ignore them. So our first method essentially ignored that it was a D chord. We just ignored it. We just played over it and just didn't think about it. And that works. But if you want to emphasize where you are in the progression, that's another approach, is to simply play the A minor pentatonic or the A blues, and over that D chord, emphasize that you're playing a D by playing chord tones, particularly this F sharp. So that's what I'm going to demo this time. I'm going to play an A minor pentatonic, but over the D, I'm going to make sure I play an F sharp. That's it. Real simple, right? But it's cool. You'll see. It doesn't add that much, but it adds just a little bit. Here it is. Here's the demo. Okay, gang, here is the third method, and this is probably the most complex method, but we're going to play modally over this. What we're going to do is over this song, or over this progression, we are going to play the A minor scale, equivalent to the C major scale, or if you're really into modes, you can call it the Aeolian mode. They're all the same notes. But over that D, what we're going to do is we're going to play the D Mixolydian scale. D Mixolydian is the same as G major, so we can take the following approach. Over the whole progression, play A minor / C major, and over the D, play the G major scale / D Mixolydian. They're both the same scale. They're both the same notes, I should say. Okay? So C major, or A minor, I mean, over the progression, but when we get to the D, we're going to play the G major scale. Finally, what I wanted to show you was that you can combine all of these different approaches. And that's really, I think, the way that you really ought to try and do this when you incorporate it in. I find a lot of modal players sound like scales when they play, and I'm including myself when I used to do it that way. And so I think recognizing that you can play these other methods or use these other methods actually helps you quite a bit in terms of getting something musical out of the guitar and not just running through scales. So combining these, sometimes playing in a pentatonic sort of fashion, sometimes playing pentatonic adding that F sharp note, and sometimes playing more in a scalar, linear sort of fashion. All of them can work pretty well. All right, so let's demo. All right, gang. Well, I hope you enjoyed this one. 3 different ways to approach the same chord progression. And I hope you see that this is something that makes guitar exciting and music exciting to improvise over rather than scary. There's lots of different paths that you can take, and you can take any one of them. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. All right. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it the like button. And if you haven't yet, subscribe, and we will see you on down the road.